7 years ago, North American Simulated Auto Racing experimented with a second division. Although we had 5 cars that appeared, all of them already raced in the Supercars division, and thus we canceled the series after that first race and never discussed it again on NASCAR 2003 until we came to iRacing. The idea, despite being on iRacing for 5 years, never came to fruition until now. With a fixed setup and Volkswagen Beetle lights, it's going to be an absolutely incredible package for racing, as the inaugural round of NASA Rallycross Lites from Daytona is next. Daytona International Speedway is our venue, and while the short configuration is being used tomorrow for supercars, the 0.86-mile long layout is our venue tonight. With 9 turns, 5 to the right and 4 to the left, we'll have a special onboard lap coming shortly. Our format for the new Light Series is as follows. Nearly identical to Supercars, we have 13 cars who will be split into 3 heat races, 6 laps apiece. The top 2 automatically transfer to the feature. The winner will get 3 bonus points, and the runner-up will get 2. The rest of our competitors will be funneled into the last chance qualifiers, semifinals, whatever you'd like to call them. Here at ASN and NASA, we reference the semifinals. They have 5-lap races. Those winners will also receive 1 bonus point, and the second-place driver in those races transfer as well. This sets the grid for the 10-lap, 10-car feature race where the points are awarded and trophies are handed out. And unique to NASA Rallycross in general, 2 jokers are taken during the feature. And in true NASA fashion, Lights cannot be just like Supercars. It has to be unique as well. Supercars historically would scale the heats and feature grid sizes depending on how many total entries we have. But for the Lights division, we will always have 10 cars to ensure crazy action, unless for whatever reason we drop under that and everyone would still race. The first season of NASA Rallycross Lites begins tonight on the Automotive Sports Network with Bryan Sawyer in the production truck. My name is Josh Mertz, up in the commentary box, as we welcome you to Daytona Beach, Florida. Our cameras for this entire season are provided by TrackCams22.com, and our intro music was produced by our very own Alex Abetti. Our seating round is complete, and Bryan Sawyer on pole position for the first ever race here for the Lights division, a 45.453. We'll go on board with him shortly. 2/10 up on 6-time champion Josh Mertz in car number 812, new number for him. Bodie Cryer in third. Wesley Wickens for Sequential SimSport. Josh Klog rounds out the top 5. Robbie Larill, Justin Robichaux, Jess Rakowski, Matthew Morris, Matthew Grove, Jake Robichaux, Olivier Ratteau, and Eric Kaplinger round out our grid, or our seating results here in Daytona Beach. Here's that onboard lap we were talking about. On board, Bryan Sawyer in the 88 for Team Struggle Bus. Notice the joker on the right-hand side. You cannot take that off the start of these races. That'll be very important. Crossing the start-finish line into turn number 1 and 2. Clip the curb to get the car to rotate over the jump. Don't take it too fast, otherwise you're going to end up in the grass. Into turn 3, turn 4, third gear. Hit the first curve, miss the second curve, but there's a little grip strip on that grass to get the car super quick through the dirt, through the concrete, over the jump, down to the oval. Second gear, third gear, fourth gear, depending on how your driving style is. Bite the asphalt and you're back onto the road course here in Daytona. Full throttle, full commitment, nearly hit the pit road wall. You can joker if you'd like, not during qualifying, of course. Breaking point down to third gear, maybe even second, depending on how you drive again, off the final corner, and that was the fastest lap here in Daytona on board Bryan Sawyer. As we begin to grid for heat number 1 here in Daytona Beach, on pole position, Bryan Sawyer in car number 88 for Team Struggle Bus. Alongside him will be Wesley Wickens for Sequential SimSport, Matt Grove for Slapex Racing, Justin Robichaux for Woven Planet Gold, and Eric Kaplinger for Team Struggle Bus as well. Such an exciting start to the NASA Rallycross Lites series. This was our entire field for that first race in 2015, and this is just Heat 1 here in 2023. Green flag off the line, Wickens in the middle, Robichaux on the outside, Sawyer down to turn 1. Remember, no joker on the first lap of the race. Down to the first corner, Sawyer gets the run, side by side, Wickens with Robichaux. Wickens closes the door, I should say, on Robichaux exiting turn 1, into 2, into 3. Very tricky over the jump, like I mentioned in the track preview a moment ago. Kaplinger and Grove in the back of the field. So rewarding to get that grip lane right. Bryan Sawyer ripped it pretty well. Wickens and Robichaux struggling. They're used to the supercars. Bryan Sawyer, super quick in these Beetle Lights through the quick patch of dirt on the oval here in Daytona Beach. And we'll see if there's going to be any joker rotation on this first lap. Remember, no joker on the initial start. Bryan Sawyer is going to take his joker, get the strategy out of the way in car number 88 for Team Struggle Bus, and he will lead the first lap of the Light Series here in Daytona Beach. Wickens, Robichaux, Grove, and Kaplinger round the running order. Off monitor, Bryan Sawyer really wide in turn 3, caught it up in turn 4 and 5. But the 88, that first lap, 54.480 to a 57.3. It was the start, granted, but looks like the delta is roughly 2.5 to 3 seconds, so we'll have to keep an eye all evening long on that joker rotation. Looks like Matt Grove got by Robichaux. I'll take a look off monitor to see what happened in the 93. I think he got a slowdown through the corner. But taking a look, Sawyer still leads ahead of Wickens in the 51. Grove, Kaplinger, Robichaux. Matt Grove in the 472 for Slapex Racing. Normally drives a Ford, obviously, in the Supercars Championship. But seeing him in the Volkswagen. Lower horsepower on these cars, 50% compared to the 100% power of the Supercars. So, realistically, you can sling these cars and do whatever you want with them. Much more rewarding when you get them right, at least in my opinion. As we take cross flags in heat number 1, Sawyer leads. Wickens sits in second. Top 2 transfer, and you get those bonus points, remember. So crucial to get those points throughout the championship. We've seen the Supercars Championships come down to 1 point, 2 points. So, at the end of the season, certainly important. As we'll see a couple, of course, other NASA teams represented. MRT's back with Josh Mertz, of course. Sequential Sim Sport with Jess Rakowski, and Wesley Wickens is in this race. But a couple of the legacy teams reappearing. And the team's championship represented with 2 cars. Waiting to see if there's going to be a second MRT car, but we'll just have to wait and see. Bryan Sawyer, 41.770 was his lap, that last lap. Wesley Wickens, 40.881 as he took to the joker in the 51. Grove is not jokered in the 472. His last lap was a 43.0. So, not a lot of action currently, but these guys just getting used to these cars. Robichaux had that slowdown in the 93. Eric Kaplinger crashed in the 227. He's got a lot of damage on the back end of that car as we take the white flag here in Daytona. And it was a duel throughout the pre-qualifying practice session between Bryan Sawyer and Josh Mertz. They kept trading fastest lap against fastest lap, yelling at each other and throwing insults at each other. All good fun, of course. But it came out, Mertz was fastest in pre-qualifying, but it doesn't count for seeding like it used to. Bryan Sawyer had that first seeding round in the bag by the 0.2 of a second. Absolutely wringing the neck of this Volkswagen Beetle down the back straightaway to the International Horseshoe. Took his joker on the first lap of the race. Uncontested through this first heat race off the final corner. Bryan Sawyer etches his name in the history book. Winner of heat number 1 in Daytona Beach. Wesley Wickens will transfer, and best of the rest will be Matt Grove. As not entirely sure on the graphic issue there. But confirmation that Grove did win finish third in heat number 1. Not really sure. Heat number 2 is going to be a duel of the Joshes, and they are both, words are hard, former champions, words are really hard, of the NASA Rallycross Challenge. Getting ready for Heat 2, Rakowski, Robichaux, Clog, Mertz. Getting ready in Daytona, green flag, Clog smokes Mertz and Rakowski off the line in the first phase, down to the first corner. Clog takes the spot. Mertz lets him have it. Side by side for a moment. Rakowski versus Mertz off of the first corner. Down to the chicane for the first time. Who will budge? Rakowski does. Through the first chicane for the first time. Clog, 6-time race winner and 2022 A champion versus Mertz, 40-time race winner and 6-time champion in the supercar division. Ripping the grip is both of them. 4 wheels off the track. Might be a little track limits in supercars. Lights, not so much. Through the dirt for the first time. Over the little hump on the transition between asphalt, concrete, and dirt. So tricky to keep the car planted and stable. Who will take the Joker on the first opportunity? Clog leads in the 199 ahead of Mertz in the 812. Jake Robichaux in the 69 and Jess Rakowski in the 999. Jake Robichaux does. At the end of the first lap, Josh Clog leads. Will Rakowski Joker, she does as well. So we'll keep an eye on those two. Over the jump, Clog was clean, Mertz was not. Into turn 5, into turn 6. So tricky to be consistent in this section. You have a little bit of a paint line too. It goes dirt, paint, grass. And if you hit the paint, you're going to be super quick. As out of the dirt, and once again, down the back straightaway. Josh Clog has won here in Daytona. Not on the long configuration. It was on the short configuration. Mertz Jokers in the 812. According to the spreadsheet, Mertz won as well, but on a different page of the spreadsheet, it doesn't exist. So I don't know who to believe, and I was the one who coded the spreadsheet. Over the jump, Mertz leads ahead of Clog. The delta was 1.2 seconds lap time-wise, but Clog is already there on the rear wing of the 812. And MRT's first race in quite some time, if you exclude the excursions that Mertz and Philip Kraus would have in the supercar division. It has been since Mertz's retirement in 2020A that an MRT car has been on track. And Josh Clog for Woven Planet Gold sits in second. As remember, they are battling in the supercar division. Nothing's changed in third and fourth. It's going to be an absolute battle between these two as we take crossed flags in heat number 1. About 85 miles an hour over the jump. Clog lands it with the front tire, slammed the rears onto the ground, and it rotated the car. He hit the second curb, ran him a little bit wider, 2 different lines into this corner, over the bump, and down into the hairpin. You'd think you'd have to rip the handbrake? No, that's actually the slowest part. Crank the steering to the right to get the car to grip on the left side tires, and down the back straightaway once again. Gap is about 2, maybe 3 car lengths to the final corner. Mertz v. Clog. Clog not as wide into the corner, and he overruns the corner. Later apex in the 812 as we take 2 laps to go. Clog has not jokered in the 199, waiting for something to happen potentially, or he knows he can just ride behind the 812 and just take the joker on the last lap. Offline is the 199 of Clog. Into the mixed, the loose dirt versus the clean section of the track. Little bit of a handbrake pull from Mertz in the 812 to get the car to rotate, making me out to be a liar as we once again go down the back straightaway. Robichaux and Rakowski, third and fourth. That has not changed. We're going to take the white flag here in Daytona. And Clog still does not take the joker. About half a second, a couple car lengths between them as we take the white flag. Over the jump, 88 miles an hour is the sweet spot, and Mertz, rough exit off the jump, and Clog is all over the rear wing. Side by side, Clog hits the curb and over-rotates onto the grass. This is getting spicy. Clog shouldn't be driving like this because he still has his joker left into the hairpin once again. Mertz handbrakes. Inside is Clog. Mertz shuts the door in the 812. And Clog will have to take the joker. Will he have the delta? I'm not sure, as he'll take the joker. The 199, Josh Clog from Maryland, rounding the final corner. Mertz from Ireland in the 812 crosses the line. Clog takes it over the 6-time champion. As Robichaux and Rakowski, that running order has not changed all race. They will go to the semifinal. Heat number 3, our final heat of the evening. Olivier Rateau, Matt Morris, Bodie Cryer, Robbie Larill. Cryer, super quick. Larill, super quick. This should be a great battle between them in this third heat race. Green flag. Side by side off the line. Inside Cryer. Outside is Larill. Down to the first corner. Rateau sneaks in on Morris. Will they be side by side for the third spot, rounding the first corner? Cryer clears Larill. Olivier Rateau clears Morris as we start the first lap. Rateau misses the curb in the 63. Morris comes to the inside of the 63, but he can't get it done off the exit of the jump. I think these two sets of cars are going to have two great battles. Morris onto the dirt off camera in the 11, way off track limits in that 11 car, rounding the hairpin. And will we see any Joker rotation for the top two? As I think this is going to be, that's going to be really the crucial part, is we've noticed that off the start, that's the first bit of racing, and then you really just run your own race until the Joker strategy unravels. But it's going to be really fun to see once all the cars come together as Matt Morris Jokers in the 11. It's going to be exciting to see in the feature when these cars all come together, if we have a bunch of cars under a blanket or not. Robbie missed the first apex, very late apex if you want to call it that, for the second one. Clipped the dirt, but he is getting pulled by Bodie Cryer in the 05. Cryer from Texas, Robbie Larill from Louisiana. Down the grid straightaway past the Joker. Still no Jokers for these two. Olivier Rateau will Joker to cover off Matt Morris, but will he come out ahead of the 11? The Frenchman will. For the moment, he does take the spot for third. Morris sneaks into the picture, nearly lands on the 63, as those top two still have not taken their Jokers, really running their own race. Last lap for Cryer, 42.116 to a 42.275. We'll put this into perspective. For Matt Morris, 44.045. So let's call it 2 seconds slower. I was going to say 1.8, but let's call it 2 seconds slower than Cryer. As be sure to join us for the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Supercars tomorrow from here at Daytona Beach. Myself, Philip Kraus, Bryan, Sawyer will be here with the call, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ASN Live. As super entertaining so far. We still have the semifinals and the feature coming up. But this third heat race, just waiting for something to develop between these two. I can sense it. Matt Morris had some issues in the 11 off camera. Been taking a look, flicking through the field. Him and Olivier Rateau have had a great battle for the third spot. And like we say, even in the supercar shows, even if you don't transfer automatically to the feature, depending on where you finish in the heat races, will grid you for the semifinals. So we're going to have two semifinals. They're not going to be super big. I think they're going to be 3 or 4 cars in each. So that first grid spot really is obviously the best place to be, as you can really control the grid. As we take 2 laps to go for Cryer, 41.9 to a 42.6 for Larill. 0.7 of a second is the difference between these two, and still no Jokers between them. And will we see Joker laps from Cryer? Also a Woven Planet driver, and Robbie Larill for KES Racing. Cryer does not Joker. Larill realizes he's got to do something different, and he takes it to the Joker in the 213. Exiting the Joker, will he take the lead? Ooh, that might be a commitment line violation as we take the white flag. We'll just have to wait and see. 2 cars now under a blanket. Car length between them, and both super fast. Larill misses the apex once. He misses it twice. He misses it 3 times. Cryer to the inside, rips the grass, and takes the lead. He doesn't need a Joker to take the lead. Takes it right back from Larill. Will Larill try and respond? Sneaking to the inside. Cryer leaves the door open, just like Clog versus Mertz. Last race. Side by side off the dirt. Down the road course. Nearly contact between them as they clip the curb. Cryer has to Joker. Larill's just going to have to wait and hope for a miracle that Cryer crashes in the Joker. Rounding the final corner, he does not. Cryer wins Heat 3. Larill will transfer. Looks like Matt Morris will come home in third, ahead of Olivier Rateau, as we get ready for the semifinals. As once again, now our graphic updates. Bodie Cryer ahead of Robbie Laurel, Matt Morris, Olivier Rateau. Semi-final A. 3 cars getting ready. Matt Grove, Olivier Rateau, Jess Rakowski. Green flag. Rateau in the middle, nearly contact with him and Grove, down to the first corner. Matt Grove in the 472 has the preferred line. Olivier Rateau backs out of it. Rakowski on the outside. Will she power her way to the race lead? She let Mertz through on the heat race, but she does not let Grove through, and Rakowski takes the lead on the first lap. Over the jump for the first time, Grove ahead of Rateau. Apologies for any graphic inconsistencies, breaking the fourth wall for a minute. With the tape delay nature of this, ATVO doesn't like to play nice, so we're trying our best to give you the most consistent experience. Grove thought he was going to sneak to the inside of Rakowski, thought better of it. Rakowski on 2 wheels, way off into the loose dirt in the 999. Grove trying to sneak in to take the fight, can't make it happen. Will we see any Joker rotations on this first lap? And now keep in mind, the top 2 will transfer, as we do have a 10-car feature, so Olivier Rateau might, don't want to say this, but he might already have his race ran. He is a mile back from these 2, so we'll just have to keep an eye on this as we end the first lap. 5 laps, remember, 1 Joker to see who will transfer into this feature race. And what makes this unique compared to the supercars, if we, for whatever reason, Grove onto the dirt, over-rotated, if for whatever reason, supercars reverted back to NASCAR 2003 car counts like this is, if we had 13 cars, this would not be a 10-car feature for supercars. If I remember correctly, we would probably have an 8-car feature, but because lights, we want to have everyone have a good time, regardless of what it is, even if it's 11 cars or 8 cars, everyone will make the feature. So next week, as Rakowski still leads, next week, as the supercars will be in Crandon, off the top of my head, we will have the lights in Charlotte. So next Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Automotive Sports Network on demand for Rallycross Lights in Charlotte. And remember, supercars live tomorrow from here in Daytona, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Rakowski last lap is a 42.869, 43.981 for Grove, about a second between them. Let's see if we have any Joker rotation yet. It does not look like it. And to be perfectly honest, this is not a bad strategy between these 2. You've got such a huge margin for Olivier Rateau. You don't have to worry about not transferring. I would utilize this session as practice, like they are. Run your own races. 43.4 Rakowski, 43.1 for Grove. Utilize this. Get the track time, because the track will wear in, and I think we're going to have a track reset for the feature race, but even then, more track time is always beneficial, and such a tricky corner, this hairpin, to get this right. Like I mentioned earlier, you think you want to rip the handbrake, but realistically, you just want to crank your steering wheel nearly full right lock to get the car to rotate. And on paper, it doesn't look like a tricky track, but realistically, Sector 1, Sector 2, some of the hardest on the surface with the transition through the asphalt, the concrete, the dirt, that bump before the corner. As Rakowski still leads as we take the white flag in semifinal A. Little squirrely over the jump in the 999. Last lap for her was a 43.120, 43.3 for Rakowski, 43.4 for Olivier Rateau, but I think he's going to run out of time as he has not jokered either. So we're going to have a formation finish through the Joker in this first semifinal, which sometimes perfectly okay. As Sequential Sim Sport, remember, one of the legacy teams in NASA Rallycross began their life as Area 52 Racing way back in 2015, and they will put their name on the board as a semifinal race winner with Jess Rakowski off the final corner. Rakowski wins, Grove transfers, best of the rest will be Olivier Rateau. He will come home and grid in the 11th spot overall. Semifinal B, both the Robichaux, Matt Morris and Eric Kaplinger. Jake Robichaux jumps in the 69. Not sure if that's going to be cleared or not. Green flag. Justin Robichaux, great run off the line compared to Morris and his father. Down to turn number 1. Kaplinger in the 227 as well for Team Struggle Bus. Jake Robichaux passes Matt Morris as we take the green flag. Looks like race control has set to clear the black flag from Jake Robichaux, but I'm not sure if that'll fix it, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens here with the 69. Father and son battling for the top 2 spots, Morris and Kaplinger. as Kaplinger's teammate Bryan Sawyer will grid first in the feature momentarily, and Kaplinger fighting for a transfer spot here in Daytona. Jake Robichaux very squirrely through the dirt. Huge margin for his son to take the lead. Will we see any jokers on the first opportunity here in Daytona? Doesn't look like anything right now. Everyone's going to settle into their own race like we've mentioned previously, as Justin Robichaux leads at the end of the first lap. Decent margin. Ahead of his father in the 69, Jake Robichaux. Robichaux squirrely over the jump. Will he get passed by Morris in the 11? Morris over-rotates, and here comes Kaplinger. 3 cars under a blanket for second contact between both of them. Kaplinger runs the struggle bus over the curb in the 227. Looks like Morris had to slow down, or he's giving the spot up, or both, to Kaplinger in the 277. I apologize there. And Kaplinger just waiting for something to go wrong. And maybe if that jump start for Jake Robichaux will prevent him from transferring. He jokers in the 69, no position change. Justin Robichaux pulling away. Former sportsman champion in the 93. Almost did exactly what his dad did, but he was able to get the car under control once again, as Jake hit the first apex of turn 3, missed turn 4. As realistically, 3, 4, 5, all one complex that you have to get perfect. Morris in 4th in the 11. That slowdown obviously hurt him, as we're coming to 2 laps to go. Justin Robichaux yet to win a race overall in the NASA Rallycross Challenge in supercars and in lights. Working on getting this transfer spot, but the sportsman champion of 2022A. 2 laps to go. Jake Robichaux in the 69. Kaplinger and Morris. Robichaux over the jump again in the 69, struggling. But Kaplinger nowhere close to take advantage of the mistake in the 277. Looks like Jake Robichaux found that grass. I don't know if it was accidental or not, but slowly gaining speed is the Canadian, as his son continues to pull away. Last lap for Robichaux, Justin, was 43.139. For Jake, it was a 44.1. For Kaplinger, he jokered. It was a 40.765. Justin Robichaux jokers as we take the white flag in semifinal B. So Kaplinger already jokered. Jake Robichaux has already jokered. Matt Morris has not in car number 11. As Kaplinger over the curb in the struggle bus again. And he'll get a major slowdown from that in the 277, his first race overall here in NASA. And we welcome, of course, new drivers at any point to North American Simulated Auto Racing. NASADiscord.tk will be floating around on our bottom bar, on the ASN news ticker, and in the description on demand. Final corner for Justin Robichaux. He will get a bonus point and win semifinal B. He will grid in 9th. 10th, unofficially, Jake Robichaux. Best of the rest will be Kaplinger and Morris as he jokers at the end of the race. As confirmation, Justin Robichaux wins. Still unofficial that Jake Robichaux, as Kaplinger gets replaced. Robichaux to the back. As we get ready for warm-up, we're going to step aside for just a moment here on the Automotive Sports Network. We'll be back shortly.
You're so interesting.
I love your browser history.
I like that you're not hiding anything from me.
By the way, nice IP address. I like your neighborhood.
You are so special. This ad is just for you.
I learned so many things from you.
You are so generous.
With your personal data.
Switch on privacy, switch off trackers and viruses. Go to NordVPN.com. NordVPN. Safely be you.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game, This is iRacing.
Side nearly 3 wide of Met and Palacio. Front bumper of Betty down to turn 2. Clog takes the lead. Will still has him jokered inside. Clog on McKenna. Contact between them. We welcome you back here to the Automotive Sports Network on demand for the debut round of NASA Rallycross Lites from the Daytona International Speedway. Bryan, Sawyer in the production truck, Josh Mertz in the commentary box. 10 cars, 10 laps. And our grid, Sawyer, Clog, Cryer, Wickens, Mertz, Larill, Rakowski, Robichaux, Grove, Kaplinger, 10 cars, 10 laps, 2 jokers here in Daytona Beach. 7 years in the making, and the second division about to begin. Thank you for joining us on ASN. We go green in Daytona Beach. Off the line. Sawyer gets a great jump, but he gets pipped by Clog. Down to turn number 1. Sawyer has the line down to the first corner. 3 wide. Wickens checks Mertz in the first corner. Cryer in third. Wickens, Mertz, Rakowski side by side with Robichaux. The two come together at the front. It was Clog and Sawyer. Single file snaking through the chicane. Side by side. Sawyer gets passed nearly by Cryer into turns 5 and 6. Bryan hits the grip strip. Great run exiting the corner in the 88 side by side with Clog. Down to the hairpin for the first time. Sawyer sends it, and he takes the lead on the first lap of the race. Cryer, Wickens, Mertz in 5th, Rakowski, Robichaux, Grove, Larill, Kaplinger. Larill stuck in traffic, side by side once again. Clog contact, hits the wall, into Sawyer, side by side, nearly contact with Rakowski. Over in the 999. Mertz jokers in the 812. Great move for the 6-time champion. Takes the lead as we exit the first lap of the race. Now, first of all, great save for Sawyer, and there's no joker for Mertz in the 812 for Cryer in the 05. Gets a nudge from Sawyer in the 88. Side by side, Cryer versus Mertz. Through the bump into turn number 6. Handbrake from the 812, and it sends the 05 wide. Sawyer takes the second spot. Wickens waiting for something to happen in the 51. Grove in the 472, rounding out the top 5. Down the back straightaway, past the grid. Will Mertz joker again? Nobody defends in the 812. Sawyer's going to have the better run. Over, under, in the struggle bus. Jokering is Cryer in the 05. Looks like Mertz gave the spot to Sawyer in the 88. Hopefully that's not an omen that he's conceding the race to his friend and rival, but we'll just have to wait and see. Contact gives him a nudge, makes me to be a liar, as Wickens in the 51 for sequential sim sport. Grove, Robichaux, Larill, Kaplinger. Clog sits in 9th, and Rakowski nearly flying out of the park in 10th. Unfortunate to see what happened, but I mentioned earlier we're going to see some crazy racing with these guys even on pace, and didn't disappoint on the first lap here in Daytona Beach. Is now Mertz fighting to battle with Sawyer in the 88. Struggle bus versus MRT. Like I mentioned earlier, MRT's got the one car trying to get Erdman or Kraus out of retirement to join him on the reunion tour, but currently MRT not registered in the team's championship. So it's Woven Planet versus Struggle Bus versus Sequential. 3 teams in the team's championship. Just like old days where you didn't have that many cars, and certainly great to see 13 cars. For transparency's sake, breaking the fourth wall, it was raced last Thursday. We announced it last Tuesday, and we have 13 cars. Pretty incredible that that short of a notice, we pull that good of a field. Wickens, like I said, waiting for something to happen. Robichaux sits in 5th as we begin the 5th lap of the race. Next lap will be cross flags, and these three furiously battling. 42.3 for Cryer, 41.8 for Sawyer, 42.1 for Mertz. Realistically, Mertz waiting for something to happen as well. Sawyer peeks to the inside of Cryer. Cryer leaves the door open. Will Sawyer get the run on the 05? Outside, will he over-under? Mertz sneaks into the picture as well, late on the brakes in the 812. Nothing doing yet. Robbie Larill sits in the 6th spot. Clog is still running, remember. After getting used as a launch ramp, he got past Eric Kaplinger in the 277. Sawyer and Mertz Joker nearly contact between them in the 88 and the 812 as we take cross flags. And I'm curious to see Wesley Wickens running his own race. He has not jokered yet, I don't believe, in the 51. He is not involved in this battle for the top 3. And as we take a look through the strategies, Cryer still has a joker left. Mertz is done with his strategy. Sawyer is done with his strategy, it looks like, or he will be, as I think leading the race. That'd be a good strategy to joker immediately, maintain that clear track. So we'll just have to wait and see. Sawyer jokers, Cryer jokers. Wickens does as well, so will this put him ahead of Mertz? It will not. Mertz is closer to Cryer than I expected as we begin 4 laps to go. Cryer's line compromise nearly lands on top of the 05 as the 812. And we know how furious and how focused the 812 is trying to be. Nearly landing on top of the 05, not helping him. And with Wickens having 1 joker left, Mertz isn't going to have the delta in the 812, so he might lose the podium spot. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Robichaux, 1 joker left as well. Larill in the 213, really not challenging the 93 as much as I expected to be. But Bryan Sawyer, fastest in seeding, fastest in Heat 1, and out front, ahead of the field. His last lap was a 42.2. Cryer was a 42.5. Mertz nearly landing on Cryer, 42.876 in the 812. Wickens 42.5. Through the rest of the field, let's get an update. Robbie Larill sits in the 6th spot. Justin Robichaux in 5th. Matthew Grove and Josh Clog battling. Jokering as Rakowski in the 999 there on monitor. Kaplinger in his first start in the 277 sits in 9th. Battling, it looked like Clog versus Grove for the moment. Good run from Matt Grove sitting in 7th in his, obviously his first lights race, but his first feature in NASA Rallycross. As we take 2 laps to go. Sawyer, Cryer, Mertz, Wickens in the 51. Lap time 41.7, 41.7, 41.9, 41.8. That was the top 4. 42.6 for Robichaux. And Mertz locked up the brakes in the hairpin. Going to come to the white flag. White flag this time in Daytona Beach. Wickens takes the joker ahead of Mertz. Mertz loses the podium. And don't turn the radio on to the 812. He's going to be furious. He finished 2nd in the first ever NASA race in 2012. He expected to try and be on the podium at least. And if he's not on the podium, it's not going to be a fun time. And we'll expect him to push super hard in this final lap. Sawyer, car length between him and Cryer. No pit stops here in Daytona like there was in Croft 11 years ago, so I don't expect there's going to be drama on the final corner. But in this race, it has been Bryan Sawyer, fastest man all evening. Mertz peeks to the inside, Wickens defends, but Bryan Sawyer off the final corner etches name in the record books, winning race number 1 of the lights ahead of Bodie Cryer, Wesley Wickens, and Mertz best of the rest off the podium. Justin Robichaux, jokers in the 93, comes home in 5th. Clog will get 6th ahead of Larill and ahead of Grove, who finishes 7th. 9th is Kaplinger, and 10th, Jess Rakowski. Confirmation on our results. For the first ever NASA Rallycross Lights, Bryan Sawyer, Bodie Cryer, Wesley Wickens our podium. Josh Mertz, best of the rest. Like I said, don't turn the radio on or don't interview him. He's not going to be happy. Justin Robichaux rounds out the top 5. Robbie Larill, Josh Klog, Matt Grove, Eric Kaplinger, and Jess Rakowski rounding out our order. We take a look at unofficial points standings at the end of the race this evening. Mostly the same. Bryan Sawyer, Bodie Cryer, Wesley Wickens top 3, Mertz, Klog, Robichaux, Larill, Grove, Rakowski, Kaplinger. And that shows the importance of those heat race points, as Klog 1 point ahead of Robichaux, as 4th through 8th really through 10th going to be a great battle, as remember Rateau, Morris, Robichaux, the remaining running order. And the team's championship unofficially, Woven Planet 1 point ahead of Team Struggle Bus, and Sequential Sim Sport sits in 3rd with 29. As we hope you enjoyed today's coverage of NASA Rallycross Lites from Daytona Beach. Be sure to join us tomorrow for live coverage of the Overwatch Specialty Service NASA Rallycross Challenge from here in Daytona. Join myself, Philip Kraus, and Bryan Sawyer as we see if Francois Martel can maintain his points lead over Romain Rateau. It's been a great race for Lites. Remember, next Sunday, we will be at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina for round 2 of the championship. Either way, if you join us tomorrow or next Sunday, hope to see you there. But until then, so long, everyone.